I don't know.
Yeah.
Not anyone I recognize.
So I don't mean to make it sound like the entire movie is spent building up the S.H.I.E.L.D. plot, but when those scenes come up, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D., we get it, S.H.I.E.L.D. is here, S.H.I.E.L.D. wants Thor's hammer, I get it. But there are scenes where it is intrusive enough, and I guess here's my main point of what I'm saying here, is I walked out of that movie going like, that was okay, that was well done. They did what they could. They hit the points they needed to hit to set up the Avengers, and they told a pretty good Thor story as well. But they didn't tell a great Thor story.
Well, I would some things that I didn't like about it.
Let me finish what I'm saying here. They told a good Thor story with some Avengers stuff in it when they could have told a great Thor story. You know what I mean? Like, it was 70% of Thor and 30% of the Avengers when they could have told 100% Thor, and honestly, they could have told a better Thor story than the one they told. I honestly thought they were kind of slumming it with the whole Frost Giant thing. Go ahead with what you like, and I'm going to talk about some of my more technical complaints.
One thing I didn't like was I still didn't really get a feel of everything Thor could do. You know, every other movie, you know, Batman, by the end of it, you know what Batman is and what he can do. Superman, same thing. Iron Man, same thing. Thor, at the end of it, I'm going, that's nice. What are his superpowers? Can he fly?
Yes.
Can he shoot lightning?
Yes.
What can his hammer do? I mean, he hits people with it. He can throw it. But I still, like, if you told me, oh, Thor's going to fight X in the Avengers, I'm going to go,
how much of a chance does he stand?
How much of a chance does he stand? I don't know.
That actually does lead me into one of my complaints, was the fact that, again, they didn't have as much time to tell as much about the Thor story as they would have liked, and here's why. Is because there's a lot of stuff that has to do with Asgard and Thor and Loki that the movie kind of assumes that you know about already. And if you've read the comics, it's like Odin Sleep. When Anthony Hopkins, or when Odin collapses and they're like, he's deep in the Odin Sleep now, I know what the Odin Sleep is because I read the comics, and I'm relatively familiar with the story. I'm not even, I read the comics years ago, but I know what the Odin Sleep is. But, Miles, you never read the comics. You're like, what the fuck? What is this?
Or the Gatekeeper.
Heimdall. Yeah, Heimdall.
Like, I know. By Idris Elba, who I love.
Yeah. Perfect.
Like I said, I love the actor, and it seems like they're setting up a real badass character, but everyone's like, hey, Heimdall, how's it going? And he's like, but I was like, oh, he seems like an important character. Who is he?
I thought they set up Heimdall okay, because early on they set him up as the gatekeeper of the Rainbow Bridge. I thought they set him up well.
But why is he so...
Why?
Everyone sees him as like the ultimate badass, and like, oh, you don't want to upset Heimdall. When you get him angry, you don't like him when he's angry.
Yeah, there's certain aspects of that, and I don't know how fair it is to expect an audience to know this. Like if the land of the Frost Giants is so fucking badass, why is there one guy guarding the gate? You know?
Exactly.
And if you know about the mythology, that's just his role. You know, that's what he does. And honestly, I've heard some complaints that Heimdall is apparently in mythology, in the comics, he's a white guy, and they cast a black guy. And they're like, I didn't care.
I don't care either.
I honestly didn't. And this probably bothers some people more than me. I honestly wouldn't have cared if they cast a black guy as Thor. Maybe a little more than I would of other characters, but like honestly, they could have cast The Rock as Thor, and as long as it was done well, I wouldn't have really cared. Now, ordinarily when you think Thor, you think of a blonde-haired Asgardian dude. You know, that's not my point. What I'm saying is, I thought that the Warriors 3 were well cast, and there was like a Japanese dude as one of the Warriors 3. I didn't care. And like if you're going from a purist standpoint of Norse mythology, yeah, there would never be a black guy on the Rainbow Bridge. But we're talking in like comic mythology, which is not necessarily like 100% hand in hand with Norse mythology. So like Heimdall being a black guy, whatever. You know, one of the Warriors 3 being a Japanese dude in Asgard, whatever. You know, these guys are gods. They can look however they want to look. I didn't care so much. I thought he actually did a really good job, and they had a really great look for him. Where was I? Oh, Thor's capability. So, like, things like the Odin Sleep. What are Loki's powers? They establish early on they can create like little multiple images of themselves, but like how does he fight? Are these guys, you know, like are they super strong? Are they super fast? Is that just in Asgard? And there's a lot of explanation they probably could have handled a lot better. For instance, like I was actually very happy with the way they handled Thor flying, because the way they originally had Thor flying was he has this little hammer, and it's like a leather strap on his wrist. And basically the way he would fly is he would helicopter the hammer and fly up like that. That was how it worked, and they actually pretty much did that in this movie, where he kind of helicoptered the hammer and he flew around that way. And it looked like Superman kind of flying around, but at least they had the hammer spinning, like he's like, ah! So I thought that was really cool. And this is just a personal favorite of mine. When you have a movie called Thor better show up in the first 10 minutes, and he does. You know, like, so like it's not like the Red Brown Captain America movie where Captain America doesn't fucking show up for 72 minutes. You know, you want to see Thor. Thor is out there kicking ass, and it worked fine. But yeah, the Odin Sleep was the thing that really got to me, was because I'm not even that familiar with what the Odin Sleep is. I just know that like in the comics, like whenever Odin does something particularly spectacular, something that requires a lot of magic, something that really resets the status quo, or when he's gravely injured, he goes a long time without sleep, he has to enter like a comatose state called the Odin Sleep. And so basically Odin is left without a king, and that was kind of the whole point of that. But all of a sudden, like, Odin dies, or Odin falls, and you're like, is he dead? No, he's in the Odin Sleep. Oh, well, when's he gonna wake up? And Rene Russo is like, we may never know. Turns out that we may never know is about 7 hours from now, which I thought was bullshit.
He's the cat man.
Yeah, the Odin Sleep. It goes from we may never know when he'll wake up to 6 hours. He's good. Like I've taken naps that were longer than that.
I just had my Odin Sleep.
I know. when I got home from the theater, I was feeling sick, so I laid down. And my sleep was longer than the fucking Odin Sleep. Jesus Christ. So
one thing that also is another complaint that kind of tied into the people I went with is the Loki plot. It was kind of confusing, or it wasn't good. And that near the end, people weren't quite sure of what Loki's motives were. Like, he's letting the frost giants in, but then again, he's trying to kill them to get into Odin.
Again, this is clear if you've read the comics and that Loki's motivations a little better. Loki wanted Odin to basically favor him as his favorite son, because Odin always liked Thor better. So he wanted to basically make himself a hero of Asgard by setting up this crisis and then saving Odin as he was just about to get killed by the frost giants and be like, oh man. But another thing I kind of thought was strange, and I'm sure I'll get corrected, was that this is like an origin story of Thor. And I'm not sure how that works. Because, like, we're talking characters who are well established in Norse mythology. Like, they actually established early on in the books. Like Stellan Skarsgård opens a book, and there's Thor there, and he's got the fucking hammer, and he's got the wing helmet on, and they're like, he's not Thor. He's just a child's story. I read as a child for children, and only children read these things. And I'm like, okay. But if that's true, then, like, how come Thor is, like, he doesn't know shit? Like, okay, for instance, Loki. Why does anybody trust Loki? Like, Loki is well known in Norse mythology as the god of mischief and deception. And so, like, is Loki not known as this yet, or is it later on that he's known as the god of mischief? Because, like, fucking Thor is, like, hanging out with Loki, and Loki's all like, the frost giants try to sneak in.
My completely trusting brother, who
yeah,
I love very much, and would trust my life.
They try to steal the magic ice cube, and Thor's like, who could have done this? Who could have let the ice giants in? And Loki should have, like, all heads should have turned to fucking Loki, the god of fucking mischief. And they'd be like, what? Why? And you're like, you're the god of deception, fucktard. Well, I didn't. Okay, you know what?
Maybe he just dicks around with humans. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, so, and then there's things where, like, Odin's like, oh, you can't go to what fucking place? Whatever it is. You can't go to the land of the frost giants. I forbid it.